from Niger, where Prime Minister Brigi Rafini had visited the scene of Saturday's attack that took place and where over 100 people had been killed by suspected militants. The militants were said to have attacked two villages in the country's western Tillaberi region. Let's get more insight into that story now. Toulu Akerele, a counter-terrorism, cybersecurity and data protection consultant, joins us via Zoom in London. Toulu, let's start with developments in the Central African Republic, where election results are due today, while uncertainty does loom as rebels attack southern Bangassou town. What is fueling this spate of attacks?
Thank you. So what we think is it's the challenge to former President Bozize's candidacy seems to have sparked some violence. There are rumors and sources within Bozize's own party saying that he's aligned with some rebel groups, a coalition of rebel groups, to stage a sort of coup against the incumbent president. So it may be this, it may be simply, again, tensions around African elections, which we've seen often. It may be something that we've seen in Nigeria, where we have former presidents, incumbent presidents, pitting themselves against each other, opposition parties. But so far, what we're seeing is that it's a coalition of rebel groups. They've been occupying 2/3 of the Central African Republic, and they've been carrying out deliberate offensive attacks to disrupt the presidential and legislative elections. And this has been going on since mid-December. So now we're coming up to the close of elections. It's only natural that we'll be seeing a lot more violence in that respect.
And turning to Niger, the situation there, the country has, as we heard, endured several attacks by extremists. What would you say is driving this latest onslaught?
Now, we've seen quite a few reports about this latest attack in Niger. So what I've been told recently is that, similar to what happened in northern Nigeria on the outskirts of Maiduguri, I'm sure we're all aware that last month there was an onslaught a few months ago on about 110 rice farmers who were killed. This was because they were seen to collude with security forces and provide intel on the insurgents in the area. Now, we've heard reports again about this happening. A Chombangu resident revealed around mid-December that 3 armed men came to collect a tax that was imposed on the villagers of that region. So this is a common theme that we see with ISIS, with their internal funding. We saw it in Iraq and Syria. We're seeing it in the Lake Chad Basin. They conquer and they tax the civilians in that area. So it's a way of ensuring their safety, so to speak. All villagers and civilians are required to pay a tax to ISIS just because they're on that land. So apparently what happened was one of these insurgents requested for a meal, and the villagers attacked him and killed the 3 insurgents. And then it seems that this was retaliation on Saturday because of the killings that happened of the insurgents who requested food.
And Toulu, speaking specifically about the case of Niger, what will it take then to secure both the country and the region?
We're looking at a lot more regional cooperation. Chad pulled out of Nigeria's borders, Chadian soldiers, because of the lack of cooperation from the Nigerian army side, in terms of once the insurgents and terrorists were moved from certain areas, what we noticed was that they would come back because the Nigerian army wouldn't necessarily hold forts there. So what we're seeing is a few tensions within the multinational joint task force, which is having devastating consequences for the region at large. So what we're looking for also is a lot more international support. So President Issoufou requested for more US involvement in 2019. We're seeing that there's a lot of French and US military bases in Mali, some in Niger. So what we're hoping to see more now is an involvement of US forces in Mali, in Niger, those key areas, because of course Niger, they've got instability from Libya on the north, they've got Boko Haram, Islamic State in West African province, coming from the borders with Nigeria. And then, of course, southeast, they've got the issues with Mali, JNIM, which is an Al-Qaeda-aligned faction, and, of course, Islamic State in the Greater Sahara. And now ISWAP, like I mentioned, has joined with ISGS. So we're really looking for a collaborative approach. We're looking to not just combat them in terms of guerrilla warfare, but we're looking at holistic solutions. So we're looking at socioeconomic measures as usual. We're looking at winning the hearts and minds of civilians and leaving less room for recruitment and radicalization from the insurgents and terrorists. So really we're hoping for, of course, warfare. We're looking to neutralize them in terms of military capabilities, but we're also looking to improve on education, healthcare, jobs, literacy, all these things that we usually talk about. So this is really what I believe it will take in order to curb insurgency and violence in the region.
Toulu, thank you very much for speaking to us. Counterterrorism, cybersecurity and data protection consultant Toulu Akerele joining us live from London.